It's that bad for international students. I can only imagine what things are. Well, not I can't really imagine. I can see how things are for Canadians. It's bad. Relations with India are dead. They're dead. Trudeau has made sure that he's killed all Indo-Canadian relations, put them in a coffin, and then 6 feet deep into the land. And believe it or not, at that time, the rent for that two-bedroom apartment was just $925. $925. And that included everything except Wi-Fi. But as as a leader, you have to think about your own people first, which he's not. He's not thinking about his own people. He's thinking about everything else other than his own Canadian folks. We honored a Nazi in the parliament. I'm going to say we because I was not there, but I was in Canada at that time when that happened. And yeah, we honored a Nazi. I can always, ignore all those things. All right, bad politics, made a mistake, happens. But I can't really ignore his attitude. I mean, think about it. His attitude towards Canada. Is his attitude right? No. Is this an attitude of a leader? Not at all. Hi everyone, I'm Shubham and welcome back to my channel Lost in Canada. I usually ask in Hindi, what's up Canada or what's happening in Canada. But I think it's probably best if I don't ask that question in this video because I plan on sharing my experience, what I feel is happening in Canada right now, and how Canada was back in 2016 when I came. Lots of differences. It's basically, things are just upside down. That's what I think. So yeah, in this video, no, I'm not gonna discuss anything what Trudeau is doing or what's happening in the Canadian Parliament. I'm just gonna talk and share my experience and what I think is, up with Canada. So I came to Canada in 2016, but I would say my journey in Canada started way before that. When I first had the opportunity to, look into higher studies, Canada at that time was at the top, like the undisputed, undefeated champion of I would say higher studies at that time. And honestly, like you could only hear good things about Canada. Like there was no bad thing, like nothing. Everyone was like, okay, Canada is the place to be. It's a developed nation. It's a G7 country. People live with peace and harmony. One of the best countries to live in. The standard of living, everything was the best. Like the best. So obviously, like I didn't really look into a lot of different options. Like, of course, there were options like Australia, New Zealand, but UK, right? But I was like, no, Canada is good. It's right next to US, not just neighboring the US, but friendly relations with the US. That's really important. Rock solid economy, a G7 nation, free healthcare. Like it was like that's it. Canada, that's it. I'm finalizing it. And then once I came here, I went to Conestoga College in Kitchener. I took a PG diploma for 2 years. And honestly, like Kitchener, Waterloo, Cambridge, it felt like I was back home because back in India, I come from Chandigarh, and we had that same tri-city area where there were three cities or towns together, so it really made up a big metropolitan area kind of. So it felt like home, like Kitchener, Waterloo, Cambridge, Chandigarh, Panchkula, Mohali back home, and then we like I made friends and three of my other friends and including me, we four, we rented an apartment, a two-bedroom apartment, and believe it or not, at that time, the rent for that two-bedroom apartment was just $925. $925, and that included everything except Wi-Fi, but everything else was included: the water, the electricity, anything else, the maintenance of the whole building, whatever. 925, and that's it. And for the three-bedroom apartment, you were just paying, I don't know, 1100 something at that time. and we were like, okay, we don't really need a three-bedroom apartment. We can afford a two-bedroom one, which is, not bad. Like 925, like I 925. I mean, affordability wise, like it was awesome. Like, and that was not just the only option we had. We had a number of different options. They were a bit far because, of course, we didn't really had any mode of transportation, like no vehicles or stuff like that. So we were totally dependent on the public transportation system. So we chose that particular apartment. And honestly, like all the other apartments were pretty close rent wise. A few were 1100, 1200, but they were like, I would say they were pretty good. But 925 for everything, you can't leave that deal, especially if you're an international student, and you're not, you can't work more than 20 hours each week. That's the best choice you have. And remember, at that time, back in 2016, in Ontario, the minimum wage was just 11.25. It it increased to 11.40, but still $11. And I don't remember any time that I felt like, okay, I'm not earning enough. Each paycheck, I was able to save at least $100, sometimes more, but at least $100. That speaks on its own. Like, if you're able to save anything from your paycheck, that's the goal. Like, that's the ultimate living, right? And I used to work at Shell gas station. I used to work weekends, nights. And I remember the gas price at that time was somewhere around 85 cents, 87 cents for a liter. Yes, for a liter. 85 cents. Yes. That's what I said. Yes. To be 85 cents, and today it's double. It's double that. It's more than double that. I mean, back in 2016, 17, even 18, I would say, if you were just earning minimum, like you're at the minimum wage, you get to work 40 hours, you would be living a good, normal, affordable life, which is not the case anymore. If you're at the minimum wage and with the current economy, no, you can't afford it. You can't even get the basic stuff anymore. Like, you can't afford the rent. Well, to afford rent, you probably need to have a house first. So you can't find a house. You can't afford it if you find it. Grocery bills are out of control. Interest rates, of course, like everything is just not affordable anymore. Now, this is my perspective. This is what I think was back in the day, the Canada that, was back in the day. Today, it's not that same Canada, first thing. Secondly, if things are bad for international students, I would say people like me who eventually become permanent residents, but still, for international students, or I would say anyone who's on a temporary visa in Canada, if things are bad for them, they can't find affordable houses, they can't afford the groceries. How are things with Canadians? Like, think about that for once. I mean, sure, we come from India, at least I came from India, and as an international student, there's hopes and dreams and certain things that you just expect from a country. You come here and you don't really get to see all those things anymore. Like, those things are gone. It's that bad for international students. I can only imagine what things are. Well, not I can't really imagine. I can see how things are for Canadians. It's bad. It's very bad. Every day there's a new viral TikTok or Instagram reel or something that comes up where Canadians are basically crying. They can't afford anything now. They can't afford their own rent. They can't afford their mortgages. They can't afford the grocery bills. I mean, half of the people that I know, and I'm talking about the Canadian side, half of them are dependent on food banks now. Like, they're openly admitting that, well, we can't afford anything, so I have to go at, 2 p.m. to stand in a line for food. Like, that's sad. That's bad and that's sad. My neighbor, he's a retired guy. Like, he has 3 kids, he's accomplished everything that he had to. But today, unfortunately, he has to live on welfare. He needs to go at least a couple of days, once in a couple of days, I think, in a food bank and wait his turn so that he can get food. That's I don't know what that is. But that's not Canada. This is not Canada. This current situation in Canada, where Canadians or anyone who is in Canada today has to fight for all the basic necessities, a good affordable house, groceries, food, right? I can't think of anyone else to blame other than Justin Trudeau. His policies, the way that he has managed the economy for 8 years. And I can always, ignore all those things. All right, bad politics, made a mistake, happens. But I can't really ignore his attitude. I mean, think about it, his attitude towards Canada. Like, in the past few months, look at the things that have happened. We honored a Nazi in the parliament. I'm going to say we because I was not there, but I was in Canada at that time when that happened. And yeah, we honored a Nazi, a Nazi. Relations with India are dead. They're dead. Trudeau has made sure that he's killed all Indo-Canadian relations, put them in a coffin, and then 6 feet deep into the land. I don't know about other parts of Canada, but if you go in Atlantic Canada, like just take a car, just drive up to the residential areas, just cruise around, and you'll probably come across a lot of posters, a lot of stickers on their cars or their houses, where they're just flipping Trudeau or they have some things to say to Trudeau, and they're right. They're absolutely right. Like, as as a leader, you have to think about your own people first, which he's not. He's not thinking about his own people. He's thinking about everything else other than his own Canadian folks. And again, I'm not against the Ukraine war. I'm not against it, but how come we are able to send money to a war being fought, I don't know, 1,000 miles away, but we are completely ignoring the war that's happening in Canada today. Like, and Trudeau, he stands up answering questions. He just basically calls out conservatives. He doesn't call out what his policies are making Canadians do, which is again sad and raises a lot of questions on his attitude towards Canada. Like, is his attitude right? No. Is this an attitude of a leader? Not at all. Not at all. So yeah, I honestly think that the best solution right now, or at least step one, would be for this current prime minister to resign so that we can make way for someone else who could, I don't know, make things better, has to make things better. And so again, this is what I feel. This is my personal experience, my thoughts that I wanted to share. You can like it or you cannot like it or you can dislike it. But please comment in the comment section below and let me know what you think about this video. And if there's anything that I missed or should have probably mentioned in the video, please mention that in the comments. And like and subscribe, please. And yeah, we will probably meet in the next video coming soon. Bye.